welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. Happy Sunday. I hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far, and thank you so much for joining me here today for this amazing video. I'm so excited to be able to share this house, haunted house, with you all, which is part of a collaboration between myself and my two very close friends, Miss Simrino and Reese Love. And we decided a few weeks ago that we were going to remake Forgotten Hollow because we all are obsessed with Halloween and we love this world. It's very underrated, underappreciated, and we all decided to pool in, I guess, and redo this world. So keep an eye out for their builds as well. I don't believe they're ready as of yet, but I think I was the first one to finish, although April is doing 2 lots. So that's probably, well, that's definitely why she's not quite finished yet. But anyway, we are working on the exterior here. I built in this world a few weeks ago. I did a vampire family house for 7 vampires. I will pop the card in the top right hand corner for you now if you want to go and check that out if you haven't already. And it feels really odd to be building in this world again. I tend to do it like once a year, which is around Halloween, because obviously Forgotten Hollow is for vampires, and we tend to lean towards these sort of creepy Victorian houses. And this definitely fits that bill. This is definitely a very creepy Victorian house. It might look kind of similar to my other build. I think it kind of does. I've been told it looks completely different, but it does have some similarities. However, with this particular build, I wanted to make it more haunted, a little bit more creepy, and I can't tell you how much fun I had with this build. This is my jam. I love doing these creepy builds, but I feel like it's only socially acceptable to do them around this time of year, around Halloween in October, and I'm trying to soak in every second. This year in particular, I love Halloween. I always have done. But this year in particular, I just want to soak in every moment, every second of autumn and Halloween. And yeah, I believe the plan I've got in place is to do another sort of creepy build, and I will be releasing that on Halloween, so on the 31st of October, so keep an eye out for that. And then up until then, I'll probably do a couple more autumnal builds and things like that, and then we'll go into the winter builds, because I believe, you know, in my head, like middle of November, end of November is when winter begins. Officially, that's probably not the case, but that's just the way my head goes. So you can see the exterior structure has already taken shape, and I was using a reference image. If I can find it, I will put it up on screen for you now. I apologize if I haven't put that on there. If I haven't, it's because I can't find the image. But I was actually creating this from it was a photograph of a model house, and it was like, it was only small, but I was like, I really want to try and recreate that in The Sims, and I went for a slightly different colour scheme, but not really. I can't really remember what the image looked like. I feel like I've saved it. I hope I saved it on my other hard drive, and I hope I can put it on screen for you so that you can see what I was sort of aiming towards. And because I was building on a 30 by 30 lot, it was definitely very interesting for me to build this larger house, and because I had this sort of idea of doing a haunted or creepy house rather than catering it for like vampires per se, I did use a lot of items from the vampires pack, granted, also a lot of items from the Realm of Magic pack, the paranormal pack and things like that, but I didn't cater it for vampires. This is definitely just a haunted house. I did also make it a haunted house residential lot, so when you do download this from the gallery, it is a haunted house, and there's some seance tables, there's a cauldron, there's plenty of space. Like, it's a fully functional house, so you can move a family in here. The kitchen's functional, living room, there's 3 bedrooms, there's 3 bathrooms. So you can move a family in here and play with it as a normal house, but I definitely wanted it to be haunted because it just gives off that haunted sort of creepy vibe, which is exactly what I was going for with this house. Because I think the last time I did like a proper haunted house was either last year or the year before, because it was the year before last year, because last year I was in the middle of moving house around this time of year, and I didn't have the time to be doing like these houses. But when Halloween comes around, I love doing these creepy Victorian houses because I find them so structurally interesting and intricate, and they've got the most stunning details, and they're stunning. They're absolutely gorgeous. Where I live in real life, we don't have many, if at all, Victorian houses. I might be completely wrong with that, I'm not entirely sure. However, they are one of my favorite style of builds to try and replicate because, as I just said, they're so structurally interesting, and it's so amazing to try and recreate this sort of style of house. So you'll see that I go through a few sort of changes with the exterior. I don't want to keep saying structure, but that's the only word I can sort of think of right now. And I definitely sort of went through a few changes, and the reference image that I was using, I did change because I didn't want to make it an exact replica of this model house that I was using. So I definitely wanted to add some bits that I felt would make it look a little bit more balanced, I think is probably the word I would use. Now, the beauty is with this sort of style of house, you can make them look as unique and awkward as you want, and they seem to pull it off because they are supposed to be full of character. They're supposed to be a little bit wonky. They're not supposed to be quite right, and you can just get really creative with this style of house. Like, you'll have to let me know in the comments down below when the last time you attempted a Victorian build was. How did it turn out? Did you find it easy? Because although I don't do them very often, I really, really, really enjoy this style of house. And if it was socially acceptable to be doing these in the summer, then I absolutely would. But what's really nice when I get to this time of year, I know it's this time of year because I can do these houses on the channel and I can have such a fun time with them, and particularly with the interior as well. I went all out. Like, it really is a haunted, creepy house. And when I did my vampire family house a few weeks ago, that wasn't so much creepy as just very like vampire gameplay friendly is probably the way that I would describe it. And so it was really nice for me to be able to really delve into that creepy, haunted sort of vibe, and I can't wait to show the interior because it's possibly, like, for example, I normally hate doing main bedrooms, right? Like, we all know this. The main bedroom of this house is my favorite bedroom out of all of them. And like I said, there are 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms altogether. There's also a separate dining room. And then on the top floor, I created like a sort of like a potions room, maybe, is what I would refer to it as. It's got a cauldron and it's got all sorts of stuff going on, like another seance table in there as well. I don't know why I added 2 seance tables to this particular house. I don't know. I think it was more to do with the fact that, like, I didn't know what to put in the bay windows, so I just decided to put some seance tables in there. But it doesn't matter. I also added a little graveyard to the left hand side of the house and a couple of creepy dolls here as well because, again, it is haunted and I wanted to get that feeling across. So I do end up doing some terrain paint here as well, just to tie up all the bits. Now, the only thing I didn't do, and I'm really frustrated with myself as to why I didn't do this, but I didn't put anything on any of the porches. There's no seating or anything. So if you do download this house, you might want to just add a couple of benches or like an outdoor table with some chairs. I don't know what you want to do, but I don't know why I forgot. I did this house in, I think it was 3 or 4 different sittings altogether, and I didn't do it like, oh, okay, so I sat down one evening and just did it. I did the exterior structure over like 2 evenings, and then I did the interior structure over another 2 sittings, so it was 4 altogether, and I clearly just forgot about the porches. So you might want to add some stuff out there. This is the interior floor plan for the ground floor. It came together very quickly, actually, and although the house is a really awkward shape, I felt like the floor plans both on the ground floor and on the upper floor came together really easily and really quickly, which is very unusual for me. I think it's mainly because of the stair placement, because it's kind of in the middle of the house at the front, and it made it a lot easier to just navigate the floor plan on both the ground floor and the upper floor. So it made it an absolute pleasure, really. So this ends up being the living room. Now, it's a huge room, but we do end up filling all the spaces with all sorts of different things. And initially I put down the fireplace from the Vampires pack because it's not a fireplace that I tend to use very often. You know, it's very specific. It's a very specific fireplace. You can only use it in certain builds. And I do end up using the fireplace from the Paranormal pack instead because I just felt it looked a little bit better. I feel like this, although it works quite well, I feel like it looks a little bit cheesy in this house. It's not to say it wouldn't look better in a different house, but in this particular house, I was thinking like, this just doesn't look, it just doesn't sit right. While I was I wasn't taking some screenshots. I was sort of like dipping down into the room and then seeing what it looked like, and it just looked a bit cheesy. It looked like a set from like a cheesy horror film and it's not what I was going for. And then just changing the fireplace completely changed the sort of vibe of the living room, so that's what I ended up doing there. But I do love the fact that I've gone really dark and sinister with the color scheme too, because I tend to stay away from a lot of dark colors in my normal builds, whereas in this one I really wanted it to just be completely different from what I'm used to putting out there for you all. So we stick to a very dark color scheme. It's very sinister, creepy, haunted, like you name it, this is it. There's cobwebs all around, there's creepy skulls in certain rooms, seance tables, candles. It's really fun, and it would be a great house to take some screenshots in. It would be a great house to, if you wanted to come in and renovate it, or maybe you could get like a Ghostbuster team sort of situation in here to do the seance table and get rid of the ghosts and stuff. I think it would be fantastic, and it would be really good maybe as a storyline if you wanted to move a family in here and then maybe like ghosts were haunting it and then they got someone in to try and get the ghosts out and then they do a bit of a renovation. I think it would be a really cool storyline to do something like that. But obviously you guys, if you download this, are free to do whatever you want to do. You might want to change the interior completely. I really don't mind what you want to do with this, but this is sort of where my mind was taking me while I was doing this house, and I was clearly just in a very creepy mood. Like, what can I say? What can I say? So at the moment I just kicked my drawers underneath my desk, so I do apologize if that came up on the microphone. I'm hoping not, but I just slammed my knee against the drawers. Sorry. I don't even know what I was going to say there. For some reason, I was struggling a lot with what items I wanted to include in this house, and I was thinking a lot of the Realm of Magic items would work really well in here, and they absolutely do, but I didn't want it to be too spellcaster-ish. That's not sort of the vibe that I was going for, and that's simply because I have another build in mind for a spellcaster's house, which may or may not be coming to the channel, within the next week or two. I do have something in the works for that, so I didn't want it to be like that, because I've only ever done one spellcaster's house before, and that was well over a year ago now, I think. Or was it while I was in this house? I'm not entirely sure, but I've got another idea for that. So I didn't want it to be a spellcaster's house. I just want it to be a creepy haunted house. So anyway, I digress. So what we end up putting in this bay window here is one of the seance tables, and it's fully functional. My play test sim was able to go in there and use the seance table perfectly fine. If you are not wanting the seance table there, you could maybe pop like a smaller dining room table there. As I said, there is a separate dining room, but I'm just thinking for the space, or you could put a couple of just normal chairs there. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. And this is what I was referring to earlier, so I do end up changing the fireplace. I just think this works a lot better. I just think it looks a little bit less cheesy, if that makes sense, and it just works a lot better in my opinion. So I do a bit of rejigging around here. It doesn't take me long at all, but yeah, I just do a bit of rejigging just to make things a little bit more, to make more sense in my head. Then this is the kitchen here. This made the most sense to me for being the kitchen because there is a door out onto a very blank porch. There's a porch to the back of the build as well. I think there's 3 porches altogether. Yes, there's 3 porches altogether for this house. None of them are decorated, so I'm so sorry. I really am. I don't know where my head was when I missed them out, but anyway, put whatever you like there. And I use these Realm of Magic cabinets, they are the cabinets that I used for my vampire house actually a few weeks ago, and I remember having a little rant about how these counters don't come with matching cabinets. It's just bizarre to me. Again, if I'm wrong, please point it out, but I couldn't seem to find them in the menu, which I find very interesting. Very interesting choice there, because I feel like if you're bringing out counters, then you bring in matching cabinets. Like they just go hand in hand. I'm not going to go on another rant because there's really no need. But the kitchen is probably my least favorite room in the house, just because I didn't really know how to make it look creepy, and I struggled a little bit with it, but I ended up just leaving it as it was because I was like, look, it's fine. You know, it's a kitchen. So I didn't lose sleep over it, put it that way. But it's in keeping with the tone of the house. It works perfectly fine, and it is what it is. But just not my favourite room in the house, unfortunately. It's a great size too. I feel like in a house like this is quite sort of traditional. The kitchens don't tend to be huge and obnoxious or anything like that. They tend to be quite quaint and just, yeah, I don't know. That's maybe the word I would use, quaint. And then I just add a couple of bits to the walls here just to make them look a little less plain and a little more decorated. I end up landing on the picture from, I believe, the Vampires pack of Vlad. But, yeah, like, come on, you gotta have Vlad in your house. That's not creepy at all. And then I put a little rug in front of the door there, and then we move onto the dining room, I believe. Yes, we are moving on to the dining room, and this does sit 6 Sims. And now with the bedroom situation, this house is for 4 Sims, but if you wanted to move more Sims in here, there's plenty of room. You just need to turn the, let's call it the hobby room upstairs. I'll show you that in just a few minutes because that is right at the end of the video. You can turn that into another bedroom, and initially I was going to do that, and then I thought, hang on a minute, this is a haunted house. I can be a bit more creative than this, and so let's just wait and see until we get up there. But this is the dining room. I had a bit of trouble because of where the window was placed outside, and then off camera I do end up putting the window back because the house looked very strange without a window there. It looked very just off, and so I do add that back in and then just shift everything over ever so slightly. But that came together very, very quickly, that dining room. So this is another room here. Like, you could turn this into possibly a bedroom if you wanted to, or do whatever, but I turned this into, I don't know what I'd call this in total honesty. There's a piano here, and there's a couple of chairs, and I don't know what this room is. But the thing is, with a house like this, you can get away with so much because they are, like I said at the start, they're so quirky and sort of unbalanced that you can get away with pretty much anything. So that's what I decided to do with this room. It was really important for me to get one of these. Is it a piano or is it an organ? I'm not sure what you class as. It's maybe an organ. I wanted to put an organ in here because I can't tell you if I've ever used that item before, like ever. And I thought this is just the perfect house to put this in. And yeah, so that's what I ended up doing. The shape and the sort of narrowness of this room completely threw me off, so I struggled for a little while with what to put where, but we got there in the end. And then I do record me doing the downstairs bathroom, but I don't record me doing the upstairs bathrooms because they are pretty much a replica of this. They're just slightly different sizes and shapes, but I do use the same items, so I didn't feel the need to include that in the footage. But I just thought, if I include this, then you can sort of see the vibe that I was going for with the build. And bathrooms are very difficult with haunted houses because you want to keep them like creepy and haunted, but we're quite restricted with what we can do with the items that we have available, especially for bathrooms. So this is the best I could come up with. I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. But then we do move on to the upper floor, and as you can see, it's a big space. I had forgotten how big this house was until I sat down this morning and to finish the build, and I was like, I don't know if I've got the energy for this. Luckily, I finished it because I really wanted to get a video out today. So this is what I ended up coming up with. So as I was saying, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms in total, along with, I would class it as like a hobby room. But again, we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. You will see there is a cauldron in that room, and it's perfect. This is the main bedroom. This is the bedroom that I was referring to just a few minutes ago, and I normally despise my main bedrooms in houses, but this, for some reason, I'm vibing with it. I'm really feeling this bedroom, and I don't know if it's the color scheme or the dark tones and just the way that everything works together. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I really like this room. I'm so proud of myself. I normally sit here and go, okay, we'll talk about something else through my main bedrooms because they're just not very good. But with this one, I'm like, yes, look at it. It's just perfect. And I think it's because like the items just work so well together. That bed is from the Realm of Magic pack, and it's stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got so many beautiful details, and it just works so well with the vibe of the house. And I love the size of this room as well. This definitely is the main bedroom. This is a statement room. And then we do move on to one of what I would class as a child's bedroom. I envisioned the family, if they do want to move here, it really depends how you want to play this. You can either move a family in here and they've got 2 kids, Or you could move a family in here, and the family that lived here previously had 2 kids and it's haunted. So whatever you want to do with it, you just go ahead. You go right ahead. I wanted to have that right balance of making it haunted, but also functional if you did want to move a family in here. Please let me know what kind of family you've got in mind for this and what your ideas are for this, because it would just please me so much to hear what you're all gonna do with this. But this is my probably favorite out of the kids' rooms because I love the color schemes, I love the vibe of it. It just works perfectly. This castle dollhouse works amazingly well in this room. It's not an item that I tend to gravitate towards in my normal builds, but I just thought because the room's quite big and I was quite restricted with the items that I could use in here, I definitely didn't want it to be a case of, okay, well, the kids' rooms just have like posters on the wall and they're perfect. I didn't want it to be that. I wanted it to be still haunted. So a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Challenge? Why it took me so long to think of that word, I've no idea. Anyway, this is the second children's room, and again, a very good size, totally different colour schemes. This is more, well, I say totally different. The other bed in that room, in the other room's green, but the wallpaper in here is green. So we've got like greens and beiges and blacks and dark woods going on. So I think this works quite well. I don't know why I put that little book there from the Realm of Magic pack. Or is it from Vampires? I can't remember. I don't know why I put that there. I think it's just a space filler. And ow, I just knocked my elbow on my chair. What is going on? Anyway, there's not much going on in this room, and that came together very quickly. But this is the final room of the house. This is what I call the hobby room. Or activities room, maybe. There's a cauldron, there's a bookcase, there's places to put your potions, and again, I was initially going to turn this into a bedroom, and then I was like, nah, we can do better than that. So I ended up turning this into a really creepy room where they probably summon witches and ghosts, and I just love it so much. But anyway, I will leave you here, thankfully. But you can get this house from the gallery now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box below. You can get them for free from SimFileShare. Don't forget, Miss Simrino and Reese Love have also done builds for this collab. They will be uploading those very soon, so our save file will be out very soon. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Drop any comments and thoughts and feedback down below. But I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and I will see you soon. Bye.